Here's Wallace once more.
Well, there are a lot of Māori business enterprise success stories right across Ikaroa Rāwhiti, but there are those who really are struggling. I mean, rising power, unemployment, and of course whānau moving across to Australia as well. That's been the big issue as well here. And I talked to some of those affected.
Across Ikaroa Rāwhiti, Māori enterprise is flourishing. Unemployment has plunged to just 7%, and many Māori businesses are hiring new staff.
We started with 7 and we're up to about 10 now. So yes, we are a growing business.
In Māori business networks supported by iwi and government, urban entrepreneurs share secrets of success in industries from food to fashion.
We wanted to make the typical Kiwi burger, but we couldn't find a healthy beef patty.
We're assuming that New Zealand's looking at kahungunu for fashion ideas.
But although many Māori are thriving in town and retail, rural and unskilled workers are missing out. A quarter of voters in Ikaroa Rāwhiti are labourers. Along with beneficiaries, many are reeling from increased costs of living. One East Coast agency says demand has increased by 1/3 in the last year.
No longer is it just those who might be on a benefit, but we're also seeing waged people come in seeking help now. We're seeing the rent increases, we're seeing power, petrol, basic food items increasing, and when they get into crises with their credit.
And those few university graduates can't find jobs at home. With whānau, they're leaving for Australia.
My grandchildren are moving over there, and that's the thing I want, the country to wake up. Give something for our young people to do here. Well, they've got their degrees, and they couldn't find a job.
Now we have a question from Tawa Paenga about this issue. Tawa.
Tēnā tātou katoa. Ko taku pātai mō kōrua pē. My question is for both of you. Our economic situation is critical. We've just seen that just now with the clips that were viewed. What work and effort, and I'm talking about genuine, we've listened to and we've heard you, Derek, in terms of our beneficiaries and our low-income people. We've also listened to you, Parikura, and talked about the excesses that are spent on legal costs. What effort by both parties is going to be put in to improve the Māori financial situation?
Derek Fox.
Well, we've got a range of things. We believe that there shouldn't be any tax paid for those on an income of under 25,000. We want to see GST coming off food, so that it makes it easier for whānau. We've set a deadline of 2020 to eliminate child poverty. We're going to designate a poverty line, because one of the difficulties is that people can't decide when someone is in poverty or not. And so we're going to designate a poverty line. We want the minimum wage to increase to at least $15 an hour, not the $12 an hour that it's at the moment. And we want to see that the Working for Families assistance is extended to those families that aren't in work. And they're the ones in terrible state, and a whole lot of them are here.
So why isn't what we've got in place at the moment from the government, why doesn't it seem to be working in this situation?
I think it's working reasonably well. And look, there are fundamentals in this business, and one of them is that when you take it off somewhere, you've got to get it from somewhere. Derek's just talked about a $9 billion search to prop that up. The Working for Families thing actually triggers no tax for most of those people now, and you can check that out. The Working for Families issue triggers no tax now because they get it on top of what they earn. The other thing with beneficiaries, at the end of the day, they're catered for everything except the in-work payment, which is being extended in different ways. So we need to be very, very clear on that. The other issue relevant to the economy, we understand the world has crumbled in the financial markets and that, it's in a damn mess. This country sits within the framework of 20 countries, which is, the infrastructure is strong, the capability is there, and we need to build on Māori being the biggest exporter of meat, the biggest owner in fish in the South Pacific, the bigger owner in the forestry. It's just that the governance has to understand that their people have to be the managers and their people need to get the benefits. The economy is as strong as it's ever been in this country, and if we're back in government, we will continue doing that.
Well, Tawa Paenga, you've heard them both.
What do you think?
Yes, I agree with you in terms of the worldwide economic framework, Parikura, and we rest within that. But inherent within that is the stability for ourselves as a community, as a Māori community. Normally in the past, with economic impacts, it's Māori who get hit first. How are you, in terms of strategy, going to, one, ensure or create advocacy in terms of not just government work, but private sector work for Māori by Māori? And how are we going to assist to ensure that we are not hit first, or that there's a mix of hitting right across the board and not just Māori?
Well, I think in some levels we are hit first, Tawa, but can I tell you this very clearly? Those 18, 19, 20-year-olds now were 9, 10, 11 when we came in. This is an intergenerational thing. 99% of the Māori sitting in this room, including me, are children of manual labourers. We are people who mirrored what our parents did, working on the wharf, working for the Pākehā, working in the freezing works, working on all the manual labouring jobs, and that's where we were trapped. What's happened with this new generation, they have not known over the last 9 years high unemployment, non-participation in the workforce, and we need to keep that up. What you've got to do is engineer the economy to be very, very strong so those benefits can flow to our people. And I can tell you right now, at the end of this college season, there are a lot of Māori who are going to move on. So we have a new generation now. The 18, 19, 20s are different thinking people. At the end of the day, we've got assets too that we must use by our people, for our people. The day of the Pākehā lawyer or Pākehā accountant just running the business for the sake of it are over. Or our relations running it at the top end and forgetting that our people should be the managers and the participations. That's how you keep an economy strong so Māori can participate.
The reality is, after an unprecedented run of economic growth and development in this country, Māori are still twice as unemployed as Pākehā. We've exported tens of thousands of Māori to Australia. That's why they don't appear on the unemployment list. We've exported them. This government and other governments export people to Australia. We talk about how te menui he tangata. Well, we're exporting our tangata to Australia.
And our people, made the choice to go to Australia.
No, they didn't. They had no choice but to go.
They made the choice to go to Wainuiomata, to go to Manurewa. In those days when they were chasing mahi, they went to Wainuiomata and they went to Wairarapa in the 50s, Manurewa in the 50s and the 60s.
Why can't there be?
This economy is strong, Derek.
Why can't there be, if this economy is so strong, why can't our people be working here? Why are my mokopuna and my son living in Australia? Why are they there?
Tawa wants to respond to this. Tawa wants to respond to this.
I can hear it in the audience, and we're saying the same thing, Parikura. We're urban drifted because we had to. It was the force of legislation also. We couldn't build in our own communities. We couldn't get our own infrastructures up. In actual fact, we were discriminated against in terms of legislation. That's the history. I agree with Derek. We have to export ourselves. That kuia on TV, she said it. Our people are going overseas for work, but in actual fact, for many of them, they're not finding work over there. We are in a difficult situation. We want some answers.
Well, hey, look, Tawa, let's be clear. Everybody's not in that role. There are a lot more Māori working in this city and the East Coast than ever before. Ming's talked about a 300 staff member mill that's about to open and whatever else. There are opportunities here, and the one thing you've got to be clear on is the skill sets. You're in the wānanga business, is that our people get the appropriate skills for the appropriate opportunities, not some humbug tohu that our people can't use, that they're appropriate skills for
In terms of skills, I would have thought that the Associate Minister of Education might have some responsibility in making sure that our children are educated and have the skills. Yet we have most of our children leaving school without NCEA. Why is that? After an unprecedented period of strong economic growth in this country, Māori kids are coming out of school with no qualifications. They head towards a miserable life of low wages, poor houses, kids that can't be fed, they can't afford the food prices, the petrol prices, and the rest of it. Now, this is the Associate Minister of Education. Why is he allowing the education system to allow our kids to come out without qualifications?
Gordon, the audience is bubbling with questions. Shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just heard somebody referring to a local issue which has a wider impact as well. If we can just go into the second row back.
Yeah, kia ora, cousin. You talked a few years ago about the bus at Maangatuna.
That's right.
your government has just recently brought in a bus company nationwide to take over lots of things, and being discussed this issue in the paper the other day. I'm sure he's discussed it with you as well.
Him and I had a row
But
about it,
your government's created more unemployment in this area by